So I want to change the conversation a little bit towards like food culture and community, right? So part of your life goal is to use food to sort of like connect communities, right? So in what ways do you see Ugandan cuisine serving as a form of comfort to your community?
Okay, so one thing I'm doing is, so there's this group of people in Africa who think that they run the whole continent. I don't know if you know them, Nigerians, you know. So they took the music scene, you know, and like Afrobeats, like
Afrobeats is good. You have to like
listen, bro. My kids, Junior, he knows Fola, like the lyrics. He can spit them better than me, you know. So now with food, you know, like jollof, everyone like people come in. You know, do you have jollof rice? White people jollof rice. You know, do you have egusi and stuff like that? You know, so my goal is to put Ugandan food on the same level as one Niger food, and then even like Chinese. So okay, to answer your question, like I want our food to be at the same level as Chinese food and other food, because I believe so. Like our food it's a culture food. You know, it has like a story. You know, like when people ask me about like, let's say, like most of like the items on the Ugandan menu, like the pilau rice, you know, has cloves, cumin, stuff that we got from Indians. You know, like during the transatlantic trade. You know, they brought their spices, and then we incorporated, you know, we put those into our food. Even like samosas aren't native to Uganda, but like, you know, that's like my top selling snack is samosas, which I made my own. You know, I have buffalo chicken samosas that aren't Ugandan, obviously, you know, but like I found a way to make them work. You know, I'm using wraps that are used by Asian restaurants to make their spring rolls, to make samosa. You think about, you know, how we're combining different cultures to make, because at the end of the day, it's about feeding ourselves, you know. So I'm trying to push our food to, you know, to the next levels, and I love seeing people come in to, like last week, I had a group of students come from a private school in Harvard, Mass, and I asked them if they want to try grasshoppers, and like half the class raised their hands, and they love the grasshoppers, you know, and like stuff like that is why I opened up Sentee's Kitchen, you know, to promote our culture through food. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve with that.
So is there that's really, really comforting to hear. So is there a way you could see using Sentee's Kitchen as a tool for like mental well-being for other men here in the diaspora? Like,
I'm actually, so I believe wholeheartedly that that's what I'm doing, because and that's why I try to keep the food as authentic as I can, because that's one thing that like people miss most, you know, aside from family and obviously, you know, the weather, is the food. So if I can bring that food, you know, to them, and the cool thing is how they can even like get it through DoorDash, Grubhub, and getting their Ugandan food delivered to their door, you know, and it's nicely packaged and it's fresh and it's authentic. Yeah, so you know that's what I strive to achieve, and I'm hoping I'm doing that. And like I see people, I'm hoping they're less homesick, you know, by coming by and trying the katogo, you know, the matoke, you know, or my version of the jollof rice, which your sister Mimi, you know, she came through, like, and that's how, like, you know, I'm learning most of like my recipes. You know, people come in, you know, and I'm like, can you know, like I can show you, you know, a way, my way, and then with their way, you know, I find a way to make it my own. So that, you know, that way, you know, it's authentic to myself, you know, as the head chef. So like I just love how I learn new recipes, you know, and like adapt, you know, like and put them into my menu.
And she would never have come to your office in JP Morgan now.
No, exactly. Exactly. And another funny thing is, like, funny you say that. So like I have catering, and now I cater to like offices in, you know, in downtown. And it's funny now, I catered an event for I think it was for Thanksgiving at I think it was Deloitte. I did Deloitte, and like
I thought you were going to say you went back to your old office.
I actually did go back, but it was at the Chase branch in downtown. But it was cool. But then with those coming, like before I used to go through the front, but now I go through the back. With the, you know, the service elevator, I'm going in, you know, with like the contract, you know, like the contractors and stuff, you know, in the big freight elevator, you know, and I'm taking food to the back. And I'm like, yo, before I used to go in the front with a suit, but now I'm going to the back.
They don't recognize you at the event.
The black folks did. They did. You know, they did. Okay. It was nice. I mean, I just love the fact that now I'm bringing them in, like they're supporting me, and I'm
seeing you chase your dreams.
Yep, exactly.
That is that, and this is like where I think this is like a deep answer to the question around using Sentie's Kitchen as a tool for other for other men's mental health, right? Imagine all of our brothers out there, like JP Morgan, who come and say, hey, this dude, I used to even report to him, or like I used to be a colleague to him. And he's always talked about, because I can bet you, like in meetings and stuff, cooking would have come up some kind of way. And then I'll see you living your dream.
I've done a potluck where I brought my food and they liked it. Last year I did one of my friend's weddings. I did the breakfast for him and a couple.
And you're living your dream and they're seeing this, right? So subconsciously or even consciously, your restaurant is actually a tool for mental well-being for people.
I'm hoping it is, yes. Yeah.
And I'm telling you it is, right? Because you know how many days I drive past your restaurant, I'm like, man, like one day, you know, like literally saying, if Sentie can do it, I can do it as well too. And I am so proud of the work that you've done, right? Because, you know, we followed this journey with you.
I do have a checklist of you know, like we need the photography, you know.
Okay. I need to put some of my photos and art in your restaurant though.
Listen, I had some lady come in and like, if you go to the bathroom, I have some art from a lady whose husband was from Tanzania, you know, and they brought their art. Listen, people, and you know, if you bring your artwork, definitely, I will love, because that's what it's there for, you know, to showcase our culture through various.
And it would be nice to literally have some sort of like collaboration where it's like art and food.
Yep.
And like literally, we should talk about that.
How about we do what do you guys call it in your industry, like an art thing, you know, like
a gallery?
Big fancy words, yes, gallery, you know. So you bring your art, you know. I bring the food, people come, you know, sip and you know,
talk about
what it is. Yes,
I like that. I like that. We got to do it. 2026. Yes. We got to put a date to it.
The last gallery was your birthday, so we need a new one. But this time, let's make money from it. Okay?
Yes.
Let's not spend money.
Let's not spend money. Let's make money from it.
Yes,
I love that. Let's put a date to it.
February.
That
I put a month.
Okay. All right. Now you're.
So you guys are first in Feb 2026.
2026 February
happening. Yes.
Okay. All right. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. All right. So now, just to like, you know, bringing it almost to like the end of our conversation, I want to sort of like pivot towards how you've gone from, because honestly, you'd tell someone like, oh, I'm a VP at a bank, right? And to them, that is what success is. They look at you're the man, right? Like masculinity now gets tied to your career. But now, in many communities like we do, right? Like a career in finance would be seen as like, oh, that's the pinnacle of success. Mm-hmm. You've redefined that by building a business that is deeply rooted in your passion, in your community, in family, right? What does success now mean to you right now? I know we've talked about it, but just concretize it with going from a career in finance to the creative and restaurants. What does success now mean to you?
What does success mean to me? To me, success just means, honestly, it might sound cliche, but it's just being happy and having the people around me happy and fulfilled. And again, this has nothing to do with how much money you're gonna make, but to me, it's just like if I have a wedding and so I did a few weddings this past summer, and I guess I'll break down my success in different levels and in increments, right? So like the weddings I've done where like the couples have come back and like they've loved the food and like they've brought people. I had a couple who I did their wedding and like the next day they came back for brunch. Actually, two couples that came back for brunch the next day. That showed me, that they appreciated the work that I did. Because like if I did a bad job, they would never have come back, right? Because I've had people like different vendors who've done a bad job. The clients didn't even want to see them. Like they were upset. And like I'm success to me on that front is being able to have mission success. Like you complete the mission. And I guess if you break it down, it comes like, let's say time. Like my main thing is time. Like it's tough with time in a restaurant, especially an African restaurant, because like our stuff doesn't take an hour to make, as you know, like
that's right.
It takes like
many pans.
Exactly, in different
dishes, different pans,
and then it'll be like it's a whole mess, but like it's a beautiful product that's come out, So like if I'm at an event on time, and like people are happy and the food is enough, that's success. And then when I go home, having my wife and kids, happy and in good spirits, and then everyone is healthy, to me that is success. And like that tells me that that I've done my job.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
What about you? So what is success for you?
I think success for me, honestly, has always been around being able to own my time.
Own your time, okay.
Yes. So that's always been my own definition. But now I want to contrast that with something I call OMO.
Okay.
Right, which is my one money
Not Omo?
objective. Omo, like the
Omo?
yeah.
Not Niger Omo?
No, not like the Nigerian detergent. No, but yeah, like I mean, but like that. It's kind of like what your one money objective is.
Okay.
Right? And trying to define owning my time with succeeding in that Omo.
Okay.
Right. So for me, it's literally being able to not have to worry about if my bills are ever going to get paid, or like providing good education and good life for my family, right? One thing that I know that I've taken from my culture is that I need to make sure that there's always going to be a roof over my family. We live in a society where it's like, mortgages and all of that stuff. So I've made a conscious decision to make sure that like, in the nearest future, like we own a roof outright. And that has been my own one money objective.
In America?
Yes.
You can own something in America.
That's my vision.
What about taxes that come when you
even back when you pay property taxes, just that a lot of people don't pay.
That's a myth.
Yeah, but you still pay property taxes. I mean, that is a given, right? Like, but like not all, some bank.
Yeah,
it's my vision. Like to say, okay, worst case, anything that happens that my family has a place to put their head. I can go work at McDonald's for the whole year and pay my property taxes.
Yeah.
But not having to the handcuff of like saying doing this. So owning my time to me is what success truly means. And that could mean different things, right? It could mean like, okay, maybe career trajectory, or it could mean owning a business or whatever, but it's just being able to control my time. So what I've done right now, at least even in my day-to-day 9-to-5 job, is I've tried to do a whole lot of like time blocking. So in the morning, so sometimes I wake up at 4:30 and I head to the office straight to avoid traffic, right? Because I go to Cambridge, you say you don't like to do that drive. So I do that drive and I get to the office at like 5:30. I go try to work out. I work out for an hour and then come and sit at my desk. And I time block the entire day. Because in the kind of work that I do, people will just dump meetings on your calendar. So I literally own my time. So I come and say, okay, whatever hasn't come on my calendar at 7 a.m. is not going in that day. And I time block the entire day till I leave the office.
But is that owning your own time?
That is owning my time, because in those times I do things that truly matter to me. Right? So my work, right, entails that I have to like have conversations with senior leadership in a lot of like the companies that I work with.
Yep.
And also be hands on keyboard to write code. So it's like you have this whole context switching happening all the time. So you go into multiple meetings because you're driving different engagements with different customers, and there's still an expectation that, hey, all the deliverables need to be done. So owning my time in that point in time is to find a way to say no to a lot of meetings, because people drop meetings on you. You're like the technical expertise, right?
Yep.
At least for now, that's how I've tried to redefine it. Take back 1 hour every day for me.
Okay.
Right. And while I'm working towards that, I'm also working towards like the businesses as well, right? Like, I do like real estate as well. I do like short-term rentals. So, but that's still like, I'm trying to do what I'm trying to be, right? That's like like I'm not saying, till I finally leave the 9-to-5, then I'll own my time. I'm trying to, even in the 9-to-5, define what time blocking means to me.
I'm so envious because I'm not even sure what that means, own your own time. Because I'm trying to think, think of your CEO.
Yes.
Do they own their time?
So owning your time doesn't mean you don't do anything. Pretty much.
I wish it did, because that sounds so
because
amazing.
as an entrepreneur, right? Like owning your time means, like, I mean, you imagine if you were working a corporate job, right?
Yep.
It would be so hard for us to be having this interview at 10 in the morning. Think about that. You own your time, even though you own a business that
to an extent, right?
To an extent, because yes, like, but you have a say to your time. Like my job is literally, I have to take this calls. Like a customer say, you know what, I need to meet you right now, and I can't say no. I don't own my time in that whole scenario. That's the point. Like the job that I do today, I can't own my time if I don't consciously step in and say, you know what, I need this block for heads down work. I need this block for focus work. You see, that whole idea of this AI model that we're trying to pitch and all of that stuff, I need to go figure out how to get it into this guy's platform, right? I'm not going to come back to my family at say 6, 7 p.m. and still go and sit in front of a computer till 2 a.m. Just to please you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's so like, but until I do my transition, it will not become something else. So that's just what success means to me. It's only my time. I've always said I want to be able to like say, oh, I own my time and put it into places where I want to put it into, which is what you're doing. You're putting the time into places that you want to put it into.
You know, on that point, so I have a mentor. His name is Steven Moshe, and I actually I've never told this story. So he's a partner, I believe, at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and he's Ugandan. And when I interned there, this was back in college, I had never seen a black man, an immigrant, like being seen as a god at a big four. You know, it's a big four.
Yeah.
You know, and
Finance, yeah.
and I was like, damn, you know, like this guy, you know, he knows it. Like he was actually even like he was teaching people. I think he's like a JD who's doing accounting. So,
wow.
But anyway, so one day I delivered food to him. This was probably a couple of years ago before the restaurant opened. And then we're talking about, you know, like when I got up in the restaurant, and I'm like soon. Then I think he said, he was like, you don't want to wait to do it when you're older, when it's too late. Like, no, he's right, because like if we have this thing, you know, we say, you know, let me wait till the kids finish school. Let me wait till, and you know what I'm saying.
You know,
when you get there,
that feels like the gift and the curse of being an intentional parent. Because I deal with that stuff like, oh, you know, my kids need me right now. And
what's funny, the kids will be okay. Like these kids are resilient. Like they will be okay. Like, and one thing I've noticed about kids, like, yes, I mean, I do spank my kids, and you know, like when you spank them, the next day they hug you. The next second, you know, but if I spanked you, Emmanuel, it will take months before, you know, like if we had a fight, you know, because you be in your mind. Like kids, they're built, you know, like their brains will, you know, and we, us as parents, we think, you know, like giving them these things is what matters. But you're right, it's time. But then if I, like right now, and people ask me, like, actually, on Saturday, a customer came and they were asking me, yo, why don't you have a restaurant in Waltham? You know, because most Ugandans are in Waltham.
Yeah.
And what I said was like, you know what? I chose to be selfish with my location.
Tell me about that.
I want a place that's 5 minutes from my house. I want to be able to pick up my kids from school, which I do, right? So if my wife is at work, you know, can't pick up the kids, I can, again, this is part of, I guess, this goes back to your point about owning time.
Yes.
I can leave my restaurant, go pick up my kids, and I will be okay.
Yes.
If I need to shut down my restaurant and lose, it's fine. I can make that call and be fine with the consequences, because like
you made that call.
It's down to me, you know what I'm saying? So
yes.
I guess that makes sense. Okay. I do own my time a bit, okay?
Yes.
So yeah, so I made that selfish choice, because if I put my restaurant a place where I have to drive 2 or 1 highway to get to, then that becomes work, right? Then I'm gonna hate it.
That's right.
But if I can slide in and out, you know, go do what I need to do, come back, you know.
Come back and continue.
Yes, I can go have dinner with the kids at 6 p.m. then come back and finish the restaurant. You know, so that I chose to be selfish about that. And that maybe that helped me make, you know, so I guess if you want to like do something like this, you know, find a way to make it so you're not back in the rat race, so to speak. You know, find a way to, because even you with your photography, it's a passion, right? Yeah. So what you don't want to do is have it be a job. So find a way to make it still be fun, because once you take the fun out of it, then it's not.
It becomes, yeah.
Then you're like, now I'm back to, you know, to like slaving away, you know, whatever it is. So find that way to get that balance.
Nice. Love that. So now how do you, I know there's a whole lot of responsibility. Now, how do you prioritize your own well-being and happiness?
It took me a while. I was actually, the first probably 6 months was bad, bro. Like it was mentally, like I was losing so much weight. People keep telling me, you know, you're losing weight. And I'm like, it's because I'm not even eating, because I wasn't eating, because like it was nonstop, you know, it was nonstop, you know. And before that, like I used to work like 7 days, you know, when I was doing the catering thing. And then now it's down 5 days, but still, it's like, and now what I do is like, I'm now in the gym, you know, I go to the gym on my off days, you know, and I swim, I do use treadmill, do some free weights, but that helps me kind of like get back to my, to my normal self. And then even like watching, when I go home, I watch Netflix, I watch TV because like I want to like zone out, because
and
like
just be in the moment.
And then what else I noticed about like having a restaurant, again, which will not be in the business plan, is energy. Every day I'm talking to people, and not in a bad way, but it drains you because people come with could have their problems, then you solve them, you help whatever it is, and then like when you go home, like you're all talked out, you're like, I'm tired, I want to just like.
Then you end up not even having time for yourself.
But then you gotta exactly, so then I'm like, let me just lay down and like have my body physically in bed because like I'm standing up for 8-10 hours every day. Let me lay my body down and kind of like reset, and then now finding the balance to have, family time as well. That's why again, like yesterday, my kids had like the church thing, so I took the morning off and I was able to go to the church thing, and I know they loved me being there because like they're not used to me being there because I'm always at the restaurant, so getting that balance is important.
Nice. So on this podcast, we talk a lot about like redefining what being a strong man really mean. And me, again, air quotes, because that's a very subjective term, right? It means a lot to different people. So what do you think is a more modern or nuanced definition of strength that goes beyond just traditional expectations, traditional ideas of stoicism, or like just what you've known, cultural norms?
Strength is weakness.
Okay.
Before I expand on that, right? So females are the stronger gender.
Okay. Tell me
Sure.
about that.
You know for a fact, Emmanuel, like when you're sick, you're probably, like.
Of course, I go out. I'm like,
You know what I'm saying?
so I don't want you to fall sick because when you fall sick, you like.
But these women can be sick, and these little babies will cry for them, and they'll carry them up like, half
that I
asleep.
know
and
for
they'll-
sure. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like even like when we had our first child, like we hospital and came back home, and the first night, bro, I passed out. Like I slept at night. Woke up 3 a.m. and Susie looking at me with like, bro, why you asleep? The baby's crying. How you not hear the baby crying? I'm like
I
was sleeping here. She's like, me too, but I heard the baby. You know what I'm saying? But like, so I think that's why God made women have kids, not men. Because if it was men, we'll have like 10 people in the world for sure. Because no one's gonna go through that. women go through pregnancy, like can barely walk, and then they do it again, bro. After a while, I'm like never.
Like my sister went through. Like all her kids CS, and she comes home and she's cooking that same day. I was like,
how?
I was like, I just get a little cut on my hand. I just want to go.
I would take a year off, after cesarean. Like I got cut. I need to heal,
And then it's like, being in the room when my wife was giving birth to like Zane. It was so painful. But then it's like so just a little bit of story around that. Like, so next thing, the doctor and all the team come in because she was not pushing enough for Zane to come out. So he was stuck in the canal. Yeah. And next thing, she comes and says, okay, you know what? You can't push for just the team to like CS or vacuum or whatever. And next thing, the doctor now says, hey, I see the head. All I need is one push. And I don't know where that strength came from.
Listen,
that's someone who couldn't push for hours. Now, boom.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, when the baby came out and they gave her the baby, pain gone.
Yep, exactly.
So there's a whole mental strength.
And then they forget. I'm sure at that moment she forgot the pain. But that's men. They'll be like, you remember last year when I pushed? You know what I'm saying?
Remember 17 years ago?
Yes, for sure. So to answer your question,
strength is weakness.
Yes, because and in weakness, in quotes, is being vulnerable. It's being because again, society will tell you as a man you got to be
gotta be strong.
No, it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to let the woman take the lead. And then you take, and that is where the strength comes in, and that's why I think. And I was having this talk with somebody else, and and then I've noticed this about our community. I'm gonna go way off, but so many, and this is a huge generalization, but I've done a sample size, and I've seen this. So many of my generation were raised by single women. And I'm not sure what the men did, those men, but like they went around for some reason. You know, they're probably out getting other families or whatever they were doing. So these single women raised these boys, and then they ended up babying them by trying to make up for the lack of a man, right? So what they raised were men who now are looking for their mother.
In their work.
They want someone to take care of them, right? So they want to, you know, like, oh, now because my mom was washing my laundry, so I need you to do the same thing. You know, like my mom was cooking for me, so you do the same thing. And then what our women end up doing is being more ambitious, because now society tells you, oh, you know, you have to wait to get married, you know, wait to get out, you know, family. They're like, no, you know what? Let me get my child and buy my house and then raise my child myself. And then now these men are intimidated because now they bring less to the table. And, you know, I'm going to be looked at as less than. You know, so let me just, you know, and then there's that divide, you know, there's that. So how do we bridge that gap whereby like men, quote unquote, step up and, you know, and or be okay with that change in societal, you know, norms. It's okay for the man to be. So right now, I guess for the woman, right now, you know, my wife, you know, the one working, and I'm the one who's out chasing I'm done cooking. So to say, right? And that's okay, you know. But then the traditional African men, like, no, how can I be seen in the kitchen? You know, like, no, it's the wife supposed to be cooking. I pay the bills, you know, so let the wife cook, do the laundry, whatever it is. So strength as a man is pivoting and doing what needs to be done, because at the end of the day, you're one. Right?
That's right.
You're one. So it doesn't matter who's doing 80-20. Because it will never be 50-50.
As long as it's total to 100, right?
That is a math, right? It can, if someone tells you they're half and half, BS, they're lying. Maybe they've done to us, but it's not genuine, right? Because 1 year you'll be better than your wife, other year she will be better, vice versa, whatever it is. But you're all winning. You know, you're all winning at the end of the day. So when you realize that is when you will have the strength as a man, and then you'll be comfortable. You know, knowing that, you know what, like maybe my wife helped buy the house, pay the down payment down, you know, but I'm going to support in this other way. I will be with the kids kind of thing. So it's understanding that, then that is when you'll really, truly be comfortable in your skin and be okay and be a strong man. It's overlooking that ego. Ego is that big thing. So once you get past the ego, then you're good.
Yeah, wow, that's deep. So just to summarize, strength is weakness, and find a way to create a balance, not following societal norms.
And weakness is in quotes because, again, not what they call weakness, because, you know, so me saying I'm okay, if I'm fine, you saying I'm weak, but if it's gonna, you know, lead to us getting where we need to be, then that's all that matters.
So it's okay to not always feel like, oh, I got to be the right person.
No, for sure. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be like, you know what, this month really kicked my ass, but next month you need to make sure you do everything you can to the best of your abilities. Again, you have to be fair. You know what I mean? In all this.
Nice. That's deep. So as we start wrapping up, what we always do is I always have like the same 2 questions I ask, right? And then we go into like a message of hope to the listeners. So the first question I have, right, as we switch segments to this, what is one thing, right, your current self is doing right now that both your past self and your future self would encourage you to do differently?
What is one thing I'm doing right? Can you repeat that?
So what is one thing that your current self is doing right now that your past self and your future self, both if they were like your past self and your future self are sitting in this room, would be talking to you right now that you have to do differently?
Okay. I will say this. So, and if you ask me this, I guess it would have made sense prior, right? But when I turned 40, I made the conscious decision to stop drinking. So in Ugandan culture, there's a lot of drinking. Even right now, because like I listen to Ugandan music, I mean radio stations at the restaurant every day, and all the ads. I'm sure even in Africa, most of the ads are by breweries pushing drinking, right? And the drinking age in Africa is 18. You know, so like it's part of our culture to drink. Even like at parties, if you don't drink, like, oh, you know, why aren't you drinking? So we have a society that's getting destroyed because of this, right? So I wasted a lot of time, you know, indulging in that. That now I can proudly say that, you know, like, you know, I'm off that now, you know, and it made me see life in a different angle. And it just took me one day just waking up, you know, be like, you know what, like, this is not good. And it's very common in the food industry because, again, it's early days, early mornings, long nights. So it's constant. And my weekend is like a Monday, right? Because like Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when I'm busy. You know, Monday, Tuesday is when, you know, like I'm off when everyone is at work. So it's warped. It's like, you know, reversed. So it's easier to indulge. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because again, if you're in a restaurant setting, there's drinks everywhere. It's easier to do that. You know, again, if it's high stress, so it's easier to, you know, to go that route. You know, and actually, funny enough, my dad had a similar experience, and then he did it cold turkey. You know, like probably 20 years ago, I believe it was. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I guess that's the one thing that if I could have done it earlier, maybe I would have been further. Maybe not. I don't know. But what I'm saying is like, and I'm telling you know, like it's one of these things whereby in the community, like no one talks about it. You know, it's a silent killer in the community. You know, maybe it's like brushed over as something else, whatever it is. You know, because that's the one thing that's the one industry. And if you think about it, during the pandemic, it was one of the one industries that was open.
That's true.
Why is that? It's not a necessity, but it was open. When you're happy, how do you celebrate? Let's drink. When you're sad, funerals.
Let's drink.
You know what I'm saying? So yes, that's the one thing.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So now flip the question again, right? What is one thing that you are currently doing right now, right? That your past and future self would be celebrating?
Be celebrating?
Yes. Like they're sitting in the room and you tell them this one thing you're doing today that they'll be celebrating you on.
So again, going back to my culture, being Ugandan, being African, you know, is you're taught not to. and I saw this when I was, you know, when I came to high school here, you know, is in Africa they tell you not to brag, not to show off, you know, like about yourself. Like if I asked you, man, you tell me about yourself, you know, you probably won't say everything that you've accomplished. Yeah. Because you don't want to come off as arrogant, you know. But it's okay to say, I am proud of myself for what I have accomplished. So I guess I am proud that I took the leap to open up a restaurant and see where it takes me, because I know that I am serving a greater purpose. Like no one opens up a restaurant to get rich. I can tell you that, especially a cultural restaurant, because a lot of moving parts, a lot of variables, from the sourcing of the product, the food, to the customers, to the economy, the industry, slim margins, right? But I know that what I'm doing is bigger than me, for sure. And I see it every day, you know, with how much our food, what it does for people. Like right now, I'm doing Christmas orders. I know that 20 plus families are depending on me to make their day. They have entrusted me with their biggest occasion of the year. It's Christmas. So I know I need to deliver. I need to be 100%. I need to prep, make sure everything is right. I am sacrificing my family's time, meaning I'm going to have them wait for me to finish at the restaurant for us to enjoy Christmas. You know what I'm saying? So I am proud that I have come this far, and I know my mom looking down from heaven is proud because she is part of this journey, and it just sucks that she didn't see this. But I know that like there's a lot that of her in what I'm doing, and then the fact that I'm able to share my culture through food with the world.
Nice. So as we wrap up, right? I just want to ask: I want you to give a message of hope to, say, an immigrant man or a man out there, or a person or anybody out there who feels trapped in a job or a path that doesn't fulfill them, but is afraid to pursue their true passion.
Okay. I will say, just say fuck it and do it. You know why? Because, like I said before, what's the worst that can happen? And again, if you are, let's say, a banker, or you are a nurse, actually. So when I came to this country, there weren't many parents who brought their kids when I came to this country. They didn't go to college here, so they didn't know the path, right? So I believe the first Ugandan who came here became a nurse, and they saw money, real money, right? You're making, what is it, 20, 30, 40, right? Exactly. So immigrants, right?
Yeah.
Because it was proven, right? Like they did it. They saw money. They bought their first Benz. Every immigrant buys a Benz. I don't know why. That's the first sign of success is a Benz. They bought their Benz, so now everyone who's coming in.
Back at me because
I think a little bit. So they saw that. So everyone who's coming in, like I know people who were lawyers in Uganda. They came. They're like, now you can't do anything with the law degree. Are you kidding me? And people who are giving them advice, they don't know, but they're telling them, like, you're right. Like, you see this Benz, I bought this Benz with my, so they go and take another degree in nursing so they can, do that. You know what I'm saying? So I started a group called UG Buddy, and the purpose of that group was to help fellow immigrants get into college, do like the FAFSA, get into college from there, how to get an internship kind of thing so that they can do other stuff, and not just do one thing, which everyone is doing, right? So same thing with this. If you have a passion, if it's photography, if it's music, if it's being a DJ, right? Again, the worst thing can happen is you make the decision. Like, if you make a decision, like, I'm going to quit my job today and go do this, guess what? You can go right back if you decide to. But that's going to be on you. But then you will know that I tried at least, right? So give it time, right? Give it time, and don't give it 6 months. Don't give it 2 months, a year. Give it time, because I believe if you believe in yourself, if you put the right energy out there in the universe, spit it right back. It will spit it right back. So if you... And honestly, so I didn't do it cold turkey per se, I guess I will. So I guess what they don't tell you is, I'm not going to say, I woke up one day and I opened up my restaurant, and so it was like, it took years, like
planning.
And you guys, you brought up the farmer's market, right?
Yeah.
So all those steps that won't be, again, in the business plan, they won't be in the book. Is like all these things that you do that lead up to it.
That was your planning ground. That was your practice.
And without even knowing it, right? But the universe saw it.
Yeah.
So all those customers are like, oh yeah, I saw you at the farmer's market years ago. Maybe I saw you do this, but all those little things that I did got me that clientele that's probably feeding me now. So I didn't just wake up one day and just drop in Southport, be like, hey, I have this food. Come. They're like, who is this? So if you're doing the background work, so if you're doing that, so maybe start as a side thing, and then you get to a point where like your side is taking over your current, even if it's not. But if you see hope and you're like, you know what, I'm seeing where this is going. If I keep pushing at this, and it's nonstop, it's gonna be constant, and it's gonna keep changing, and you keep changing with the time. So if you keep at it, you will find your passion. But don't expect it to be the same as before, right? If you were making $250,000 doing this, don't expect the first year to make, And again, with being an entrepreneur, right? My account can have $10 today, 20 grand the next day, negative 8 grand by Friday. That is a fact.
Yeah.
Right? But with the 95, you're going to get your same thing.
Like a fixed. And that's a cuff, right?
Exactly. So you think about it, right? So do I want to have a constant thing? You want to go up and down because, again, end of the day, it evens out based on what you put in. You know? With your 95, even if you put in 25 hours of your day,
fixed.
It's going to be fixed.
Outcome.
Yes. So know yourself. Who are you? Like, if you're lazy, and that is still fine. If you, and I mean, I guess it's a bad word, lazy. If you are comfortable and you don't want to push yourself more, or you don't have the bandwidth to do more, then by all means, because we do need those accountants, we need those lawyers as well. But if you feel that push, you know, that drive is burning in you, like that passion is in you, you know, to do more, to do, like, this is, because even like when I was doing my 9-to-5 job, it was thinkless. Like, I was just going in the office and running spreadsheets and doing this. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. So what gave me joy was cooking on the side. So on the weekends, you know, like, I would go cook for a wedding and then get my joy back. Then go to work Monday, then it's back to the same old stuff, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, but now with this, like, I'm seeing, you know, like, I put an item on the menu and then people love it. People I'm like, wow, so these guys like my idea, you know, and you're seeing it through those results versus, you know, waiting for, you know, your year-end review. Hey, Bob, you know, this year was a pretty solid year. You know, we made $9 billion, but, yeah, the company's, you know, we're going to give you your 1% raise this year, you know, that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So, like, and again, that's fine if that's what you want, but if you want more in life, like, literally, you can do whatever with what, because if God gave you this passion and this gift, who are you not to be obedient? You know what I mean? Because, I mean, and I believe everyone has that one thing, and maybe now might not be the right timing, but then maybe it'll come back, but then when it comes, you need to be ready. Like, that's the spot that I opened up my restaurant. It was always there for me, but I had never been in that plaza up until I went there to sign the lease. But it was right down the street from me, but I'd never gone in there. But it was there the whole time. You know what I mean? But it just took the right time, the right timing, not my timing, but his timing. And I was there for it. And I listened, and now I'm just, you know, living it one day at a time and seeing what tomorrow brings and then adjusting as needed.
So what is Sentie's Kitchen? What is your vision for Sentie's Kitchen in the next 10 years?
My vision. Honestly, I don't know, because I didn't even have a vision for it to be a restaurant, but then here we are. You know, I may or may not be doing this, you know. I may have a new chapter in my life. I don't know, but I'm here for it, you know. I guess I'll answer you. My vision for it is to have my kids being there with me and teach me. Okay, because I'm teaching them through, let's say, paying for their education, and then through what they're seeing me do. And then with that, they're learning what I can't see. But then when they get of age, like, my daughter is 10 right now, but this summer, she'll be running the cash register at the farmer's market.
Nice.
She will, you know? So then she will teach, because, like, it's about knowing that these kids have a mind of their own. You know, so we grew up in Africa, so we have a different upbringing, because we saw, like, we had primary school in Africa. So, you know, we saw things from a different perspective, you know, and now for them, they're seeing it in their own perspective. And I can't wait to see what that is for my business.
I love it.
When the time is ready, when the time is right, they will come and they will tell me, because they all have strong opinions, you know, like their parents. And I can't wait to see what that brings. They might tell me, you know what, let's do ice cream. But, like, bet, let's see where that takes us. But it's about that, you know, that family coming together, you know, because we see this with other immigrant families, you know, like, where, like, it's a family business. Like, all these, like, even funeral homes, it's like, and son and what, you know, because it's what it is. But then for us, they tell us, go to school, get your degree. So now you're in debt, X amount of money, so you can go work for somebody and be in debt all your life. I have a plumber. My plumber, you know, he has a house in Aruba. He's like, I've been working since I was 17 in high school. I had you know, I was an apprentice, you know, for a plumber. I have my own business. I work 6 months in the U.S., then I go 6 months in my house in Aruba.
He owns his
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure he has his issues, you know, he faces.
He owns his time.
Yes, and he made his path. You know,
right.
like one culture that I really want to learn and study are the Brazilians.
Yeah.
The Brazilians. They're very enterprising.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I want to know how they do it.
Yes. One
You know
person
what I'm saying?
comes in and all of a sudden, like, they have a bit, like, all of them own businesses. All the
Yes.
ones that I know own businesses.
Yes. You know why? I think they because they didn't have
Fearless.
education come and tell them, you know what, you need to go to school. You know, some of them don't know English, but they can they make, you know, they're happy and successful in their passion and what they're doing.
And our kids used to be in school.
Yes.
Right? Where together, where there was like a lot of like we saw it. We saw it.
Painters,
All of them
and
own
this
businesses.
is private school.
Yes.
90% of them are business owners. You know,
It is such a, like an amazing thing to see it where all of a sudden they have like their cousin,
Yep.
their younger brother, everyone is working in the business. So like, and
Yes.
you know, living in Framingham and Ashland,
Yep.
it's like we have friends like that. I'm like,
Yes.
man, I am so proud of like that culture.
Exactly. You know, but then
Yes.
for us, you know, like then as Ugandans or Africans, you come here, then you know you go straight to work for somebody. Why?
But you first of all come and go and get another
Yep.
degree.
Yes,
'Cause they tell
exactly,
you
yes.
can't use what
Yes.
we have in Africa and Nigeria.
Because that's what they've taught us, right? So you go back, then we go back and
Mentorship.
spend more money to make money. Versus, let me, you know, like the money that let's say I spent on my MBA. If I took that money and if I took the money and maybe invested it in a business, maybe it will be, you know, I'll be further off, you know.
That's
but
right.
like it's about changing your mindset and making it work for you. You know, instead of working, you know. So like I will one day, you know, speak to a few of my Brazilian friends and they can tell me, or maybe even like I can just watch them.
We should have a podcast with them.
Yes.
One of our friends who owns a business.
Definitely.
Because we can have
Yes,
and
because
learn a thing or two.
Yes, because they know, even like my kids daycare is, you know, and like it's really, so if you compare like and I love doing comparisons, you know, like all my kids have gone to a Brazilian daycare, and if you compare it to like let's say an African daycare, they, you know, do shortcuts and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like but then I just love their work ethic. So I'm hoping to one day, you know, learn from them.
Nice. So to end it all, we always have this thing where the previous person who comes on the podcast gives us a question to ask the next guest.
I like that.
And then you'll give us a question to ask the next
okay.
person.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask a question, but I think we already answered the question, but I'm going to let us know if you've answered the question or not. And then you give us your question.
Okay.
So the question from the previous guest was, if there's one thing you love to do and could do for the rest of your life and make money doing it, what would it be?
Be a family man.
Okay.
You know these little YouTube channels that you know that our kids watch. Like they watch other kids playing with toys in mansions in Florida. Yeah, I want to be that. You know, I want to pay to raise my kids. You know, yeah, that's what I want to do. That would be a nice flex.
So you love to be an influencer, right?
Yes, if I'm getting paid, you know, to build my kids, yes, 100%.
Nice, nice. So now your turn. What is the one question that we ask the next guest?
Okay. And I'll ask you guys the same thing actually. I'll ask the next guest. Then I want your answer
Okay. You want my answer now, or you want my answer?
now.
Okay, all right.
You'll ask the guest. If you could pick one superpower, what would it be, and how would you use it in your current life? Like right now, think of right now what's in your mind. You know, maybe you have like some deliverables due end of the year, whatever it is, whatever, you know, or like family or whatever it is. What's one superpower you could have, and how you use it?
I think one superpower like that always comes to mind is just being like Superman, Man of Steel. And I know it's loaded because he has a whole lot of superpowers.
So you pick one.
Pick
one superpower.
one superpower.
Yep.
Being Superman is a superpower, right?
No,
That's a
very
collection of
ambiguous.
powers,
That's
right?
very, yeah.
All right, so I think one superpower that I would pick, right? It used to be being able to read minds.
Okay.
But then all of a sudden, in my whole awareness journey, I realized that the reason why I wanted to have the power of reading minds was because I cared too much about what people thought. But now I think the one superpower I want is. Now let me think about that now.
Hold on, that's very introspective. What you just said, which means that you really take time and you think about why do I
really don't read minds?
So many people don't actually get that step further. They leave it at that, but you have closed the loop to know that.
It's like, the superpower, like, I want to read minds, but ultimately I realized it was because I cared too much about what people. I cared too much about what people thought about me. So, in my opinion, it's like if I could figure out what people think about me, then I can fix it and make them
realize you
like
can't fix it.
And at the end of the day, I realized that there's nothing you can do to please.
There'll always be something.
So me, I have chosen now to. So now my superpower is this. My superpower is this: the power to be 100% authentic to myself. As a human being, there's always going to be the whole idea of like voice in your head, like tells you, don't do this because one, maybe there's cultural norms like we've established in this episode, but also there's like the whole notion of like maybe a little bit of people pleasing and like other people's opinions, right? These are all masks. But my superpower that I would love right now, amongst other superpowers, would be just the power to say F it and be authentic every single time.
But you can do that.
You can do that, but I'm just telling you that's a superpower. I tell you,
but that's achievable.
It is achievable, but that's what I'm telling you. I want to be Superman. Don't do that. Okay, now I'm telling you, like literally, I think in this whole self-awareness journey, it's just one of those things where living authentically to me feels like it's really a superpower, right? Because it takes a whole lot of time, a whole lot of mental like machinery and computation to rewire some neural pathways.
So I asked my kids this, and they both said like different times, and they went together. Teleport. I'm like, why? Because they want to go to Uganda, and right now it's expensive. So they want to teleport to Uganda, be able to go back and forth. I'm like, that's pretty smart.
That's deep.
So mine is the power to make people forget. So my landlord would be like, I paid you rent for the whole year.
Or more like power to convince them.
Sure. There you go. You see what I'm saying? So I was like, that would be nice, I'm like, hey, I paid all my bills for life, so I'm good now. They're like, yes, are you sure? Yes, I'm good. Then that'd be nice. That's mine.
Nice.
So ask your guests, because I'm curious now, people,
Yeah, so mine is just, I used to be reading minds, but now I think I just care more about like just coming out and being authentically true to myself.
But you do realize that those are actually pretty similar, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because they're all tied to
it's kind of like
other people.
I think the first one is yes, but the latter now is tied to me. If for like the first 4 decades of your life, it's literally cared about what people think, and now like the other half, you're like, you know what? I just.
But is it authentic to who? To you or
to myself? Like literally, I want to be able to like say, hey, there's some places where you're like for example, you talked about your wife having to kneel down in front of in the mall.
Yep.
And if me being authentic is like, you know what, F that.
I'm not doing that.
And I see my uncle and I say, hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah.
And have no qualms about it. That is a superpower. Because technically you can do that. But there's always going to be that whole, criticism. Did I do it? I did. I just have no qualms about it, but without being arrogant.
Right? I got you.
Yeah. So again, DJ, Chef Sentie, the banker, the DJ, the chef, we actually didn't say that you also have a mixology degree as well to you.
I actually have an IMDb as well. I have directed a movie.
Look at you
in Wayland, Mass.
Look at you! I gotta watch it. We have to link that in the show notes, right?
Yes. And you should check it out.
Yes, we need to check that out. So thank you again for gracing us with your presence. This was such an amazing conversation. Hopefully, we can get you back into the studio and do it again.
And I'll have another pilot next. Maybe.
Maybe next time.
Yes, definitely. I do appreciate it this time, and I'm glad that we finally able to make it happen. Have this, chop it up.
Nice. Thanks again for
Appreciate you, brother.
That was incredible. What a conversation. I hope you were taking notes, because today we did hit on very important things. And the 4 main pillars, just to summarize, is 1, reframe success as time control. Success truly means controlling your time. 2, trade value, not worth. You were born with worth, so there's nothing like, oh, I'm going to charge my worth. You actually charge a portion of your value. Number 3, modest living sets the foundation for you to chase what truly matters. So you're not tied down with the thoughts of making your bills on the next paycheck. And finally, this is my favorite point, go with the whole no plan B philosophy. Chef Sentie believes in the effort and do it approach. If you believe in yourself and put the right energy out there, it surely would always materialize into what you want to do. Now, before you go, I want to hear from you. We also talked a lot about the mental side of this journey, specifically the 5 keys to entrepreneurial grit. The first one is just stop waiting for the perfect time. It's never gonna come. You're never gonna get the perfect time. Always accept that failure is just part of the process. And winning is truly the mental battle. Again, learn to adapt when the business plan fails. Don't get stuck on that. Now, the 5th and last one, using your unique background, take that to your advantage. So now, which of these 5 keys are you working on the most right now? Drop a comment below, because I want to hear them and I want to read them, so we can maybe talk about them in an episode. If you got value out of today's episode, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to the Unmuted Man podcast. Looking forward to seeing you, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.